Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host today, and I'm really excited about today's guest, Jannette Anderson. She titles herself the Why Whisperer, which is going to be a really interesting conversation. She's passionate about showing expertpreneurs how to tap into their why or purpose so that they get that they matter and live like they do. So we're going to talk a lot about time, location, freedom. She shows them how to do the things at the right times on their own terms. And she's passionate about her work after 4 days. She's a mentor, trainer, speaker, and been a nomad, location independent lifestyle, visiting 27 countries, allowing her to teach clients and help them be the difference they are uniquely here to be. So, Jannette, welcome.
Thank you so much, and happy to be here.
Yeah, I know you have quite an impressive bio, and so tell people, your story, and we'll get right into it.
All right. Well, like many stories, it started long ago. I remember specific incidents of wanting the book Heidi. I grew up really poor, lots of chaos, lots of abuse, lots of violence, and so books became my refuge. And I really wanted this book Heidi badly. So I think I came out of the womb entrepreneurial. So I asked my mom over and over and over again, as only a very determined Aries child can I get it now? How about now? Can we buy it now? How about now? Can we get it now? Please, can we buy it? Please, 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 mom. Can we buy the book? Please, how about now? And this went on for quite a while. And finally, one day she turned around and she yelled, "No, we can't afford it." And I would remember to this day, I don't remember a lot of my childhood, but I remember this moment. And I remember being really shocked, not by what she said, because I heard that all the time. We can't afford it. We don't have money, etc. But by the look on her face, the shame and the guilt and the frustration, the sadness, the anger. I remember seeing the look on her face and thinking to myself, I never want to see that look on anyone else's face, not hers, not mine, and no one else's ever again. And it was kind of an odd thought for a 5-year-old, but I remember it to the core of me. And, as kids, we don't complicate things. So problem solution. So she said, we can't afford it. So I said, okay, I'll just get money. That's easy, right? And so I had my very first business. I was almost 5, 4, almost 5. And so one day I had seen people in our housing tenement have garage sales. So I hauled everything I could out of the house and priced it. And mom was probably off at work, and I'm sure someone was supposed to be watching me. But back in 1964, 65, it was a lot more lax, or at least in my world it was. And so I had a garage sale, highly successful. I remember running up to my mom and saying, "Look, mom, look, $13.72. I remember, Christopher, to this day, the amount that I made. And like I said, I came out entrepreneurial. I could count, and I could, money was easy for me to know and understand back then. And I was so pleased because problem solution, right? You would think that that would be her reaction, but it wasn't. So the bottom line is I got spanked. She took my money. She was really mad that I sold a lot of household knickknacks and her stuff. I had to go back around the tenement house and buy it all back. I didn't get back my toys. The kids wouldn't sell them back to me. So I lost most of my toys. I got back most of her stuff. I didn't get the book, at least right then. And many people would say not a very successful first entrepreneurial venture, but I think it was, because I learned a couple of really important things. One, don't go into business with family. I'm kind of kidding, but not really. Really, that when we have an issue or something we want, or something that we want to create in the world, that we can, and that business can be a solution to that. And whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, coach, or any other kind of expert who's selling what they know, they can create and take their life into their own hands, their destiny into their own hands, by being entrepreneurial, by being resourceful. So I learned that, and I also really made that determination that I didn't want to see that look on anyone's face again. So that kind of became my why as I went through my life. Everything that I've done has been about people, getting that they know that they matter, and living like they do, by really supporting them in creating the freedom that they want to be able to have a yes life. And there's so many professionals, doctors, lawyers, et cetera, who can't say yes to the lifestyle they want because they are time starved, to giving their family what they want, or maybe they can because they give their family things, but they don't give them the love and attention that they want. Part of what I love doing is supporting people and figuring out, how do you get that freedom? How do you figure out your why so that it can guide and lead you and help you create the meaning that you want, as making a meaningful difference, as well as a magnificent living.
Very interesting. I actually, I recall when, in my younger years, I actually went through a similar thing, with you as, in the beginning, where, it's just everybody's trying to find something, and, usually they're trying to, but it's usually if you're like significant loss, hardship, trauma, divorce, or you're marginalized, you don't fit in. It takes a little bit longer to find yourself. So, which is quite interesting. And the book that you recommend will be in the show notes. And I always found solace in books as well, because that was like my escape. I could like escape into anything, and I could, be the superhero, which is, that's why I'm an avid reader today. Yeah. Now you talk about using the big breakthrough was 2000 informational marketing with the internet. And so you talk about using information marketing to build your list, credibility, and cash flow. And I'm sure people are very familiar with this, but how do you do this and help clients with their why?
Well, so two things there. One of the things that I recommend is that, many, because of the healthcare crisis that's going on in North America, especially, and around the world, a lot of doctors have a lot of demand, and professionals, but that doesn't mean that they don't need to market themselves. It doesn't mean that they don't need to get new clients, and especially the kind of clients they want to work with. So marketing information, solving problems, being someone who provides value before I've even met you, is a great way for you to attract clients, to filter clients, to get the right kind of clients. And one of the best ways to do that is creating information-based marketing. So content-based marketing that you can put out there, ebooks, check templates, things that will help them with seeing you as their ally, seeing you as their valued, trusted advisor before they may have even met you. And I really recommend that we incorporate in everything we do, your website, your about us, any books you write, anything that you do, any marketing that you incorporate your why you do what you do. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If they're buying what you do, you're a commodity. If they buy a doctor's checkup, then you're just like every other doctor. I can go to any doctor and get that. Even if you're a specialist, you're still a commodity. But if you have a why that people can understand and resonate with you, it differentiates you right away from everyone else. So you're no longer a commodity. You are now someone they can relate to. It fast tracks the know, like, trust factor. And it has a lot of benefits because it really does keep us motivated, because it's our purpose. It's why we do what we do. And sometimes in the day-to-day life of delivering services, we can lose sight of why we're doing this, and it becomes all about the shoulds and have tos, and it can be really, really hard. So keeping our why front and center is not only smart from a marketing perspective, but it's also helpful in keeping us going, moving forward, and staying on track.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. When I read this in the early days of the internet, when I was like hearing about information marketing, and basically you could become an expert and you could be an influencer, and you could basically, it could be a way to educate and entertain, could bring in audience, marketing, advertising, all of this through just educating. And now first it was through blogs, words, now it's through pictures, and now it's video, which is so powerful. Like, my nephew, or Gen Z or Gen Alpha, they don't realize like the power of what the internet has done. And you don't have to go through traditional media outlets. You can become your own influencer, your own niche right away. which is just so fascinating.
Exactly. Well, and you've done that really well. You've used your book and your book to not only differentiate you, but to make you the authority, bring in sponsorship, give you great positioning. So yeah, you live that well.
And then what you brought up, another interesting point, which is that, the number one business question you must answer to be successful. Tell us more about that.
Well, and I think it's your why, because so let me define what I mean by that. Um, if we first of all, if we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, it gets to be drudgery pretty damn fast. And it's hard to get out of bed some mornings and to want to do what we do. If it just becomes about the money, if it just becomes about the I gotta pay the bills, it gets boring, it gets to be hard, and it gets to be drudgery. So really the number one question we have to answer is why? Why are we doing what we do? And I define your why as the intersection of what you're healing from the past and what you long for the future, for yourself and others. So what you're healing from the past and what you long for the future, for yourself and others, which is a bit of a different definition than Simon Sinek, for instance, in his book, Start With Why. And I don't typically call it purpose or mission because those words are kind of laden. But I think human beings are meaning-making machines. And if we don't have meaning that we're directing, that we're focused on, that we're going to create this life of meaning, or this is my purpose, or this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, then life creates it for us. And it tends to be those shoulds and have tos. And we're not in the driver's seat anymore. So really to take back our direction, our sovereignty over our life, the sense of empowerment around who I am and why I'm here, who do I want to be in the world, we really need to know our why we do what we do. And it's not just because I want to help people. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to gag, because that's what everyone says. And that doesn't differentiate anyone. We all have our flavor of why. Every single listener in your audience has a reason why they became and did what they did. And I guarantee you, when I do why sessions with people, I listen most of the time. In fact, every time I've done this, but I'll say most of the time because maybe sometimes it doesn't. It starts in your childhood. It starts with, like you said, those formative experiences. We create a window that we look at the world through, and we see and hear different things. We care about different things. Even people growing up in the same family come out with different whys, different perspectives on the world. And when we incorporate that into what we're doing, into really practically the About Us page in your website, I was just writing a note to a client saying, for the love of God, stop saying I'm a speaker, author, coach. Everybody is a speaker, author, coach. So what? You're a commodity. It doesn't help you at all. And it has no whiffum, no what's in it for me in it whatsoever. Our About Us is not about you. It's about your clients or your patients. It's about how you can help them. It's about what's in it for them to work with you. And even if you happen to be lucky enough to be in an industry where there's lots of demand and not enough supply, you still want good clients. And the way to filter the good clients instead of the PETA factor, the pain in the ass factor, is to attract the ones that you really want to work with. And that is that they're going to resonate with your why. So putting that out there helps them. So, I mostly work with women and a few smart men to really support them in growing their business. And when I talk about why I do what I do, when I talk about my mom and how I grew up and being entrepreneurial as a way to survive and so forth, and that transforming into the key to freedom and a yes life, then people get it. They get why I'm passionate about this. They get why I care so much. And it separates me from everyone else who says I'm a speaker, author, and coach, or a coach and trainer. Blah, right? So it really is about how do we position ourselves differently? How do we stand out? Using what we care about, what we're passionate about, is one of the best ways. And I, especially after the period we've come through with COVID and all the isolation and that created the separation, the us and them, the us versus them, we need connection more than anything. And we need to connect on real stuff, real humanity, not fluff, not marketing blither, but real Who are you? Why do you care? And why should I entrust my well-being to you? Whether you're a financial planner, a doctor, or whatever, why should I trust you? And our why really helps answer that. So that was a long-winded answer to the question, what's the number one thing that people need to know to make their businesses successful?
Yeah.
It's your why.
I was reading a book on the plane home yesterday, and it was talking about your why and basically this age of average. And society is trying to just makes you average. They kind of want everybody to blend in, and nobody, they don't want any sore thumbs. And in this age of average, everything becomes a commodity. Everything goes to zero, just like you're describing. And the only way to really, stand out, like be an Apple or a Google or Facebook, that type of brand, you have to be different. And so kind of when it gets more competitive, you have to be different. You don't become better, you become different, which is fascinating, really insightful book. Sally Hogsmeade. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and service professionals in particular, one of the biggest changes in the last 5 years, decade, but really the last few years, especially since COVID, is we are now literally competing on a global stage. You can go to telemedicine for answers. You can go to, Zoom sessions with specialists around the world, etc. We are so much more commodities than we ever have been in any time in history. And so the only way we can differentiate ourselves, it can't be on expertise, because that's not enough. There are lots of people who know what you know, and you can be a stellar expert, heads and shoulders above the others, and there's still probably a dozen people in the world you're competing with, even if you're in a category of one. Most people are not. So to avoid being commoditized, we need to find out what truly makes us different. And the only thing that makes us truly different is who we are as a human being. Our note in the choir, the note that we uniquely sing. And the choir is not as sweet without us, but without knowing what our note in that choir is, we can't answer the question, why should you work with me? Yeah. Why should you trust me?
Yeah. So what's next? How do clients know the right next step and the right stage for getting their next 10 clients or going to the next level?
Well, there's a couple of things in that. One of the things that I think is really important for people to know, especially entrepreneurs and service professionals, because you're an entrepreneur as well, you're selling your expertise, is what stage of business are you at? And what works at that stage and what doesn't. Because in the expertpreneur world, the online expertise world, there's a lot of people who are trying to leap up the mountain in one leap. You've probably seen them, they're trying to do very scaled things, and they don't have the authority, the influence, the context, the list. They don't have the list of 40 or 50,000, but they're trying to fill, a room with 200 people. Be at the stage you're at, do the tactics and strategies that work at that stage so you can be successful in getting up the mountain further, one step at a time, not trying to leap up to the top. So that's one of the tactical things that's really important, is know what stage you're at. 2, know how to differentiate yourself in a crowded marketplace. Part of that is your why. I call it the 3 whys and a what. Why do you do what you do? Why should I pick you instead of anyone else? Why do I need what you have? And even if you're a doctor or someone who they absolutely need what you have, they still need to know why I need it from you versus the person down the street. The what. So 3 whys and a what. The what is what the heck do I sell? How do I package it, price it, and position it so that it makes a difference? And I know in industries where it's kind of regulated, and if you're a chiropractor, this is the fee you get for your visit. If you're etc. There is still a way to make additional income by packaging your expertise, by creating training courses, by adding value with products and other services. There's strategies for building a practice that doesn't rely on you being in the office, 8 to 10 hours a day. And really, that there's no way to get to financial freedom and time freedom, which is even more important these days, without having some kind of strategy that really has you clear on what's next, what's going to work for me, because not everything works for everybody. Cookie cutters are for cookies, not for business models. And what really matters to me? How do I build my life or my business around my life rather than the other way around? Because most people have their life built around their business, and that's that's why they're unhappy, unsatisfied, getting divorced on, marriage number 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get back to building the business around the life and creating the life that you really want intentionally, and with some commitment to there is more. Because I think there's an epidemic of I have a great life, how come I'm not happy? A lot of it is the lack of meaning.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So well said. And what's interesting is you know, if it's like somebody saying, I want to make a lot of money. And then it's like, okay, there's like a million ways to do that. Why are you choosing this one? So know your why and just
And what's a lot of money? And why do you want to make it? Is
yeah.
it status? Is it so that you can have a freedom lifestyle? Why do you want to make money? Because money is just a bunch of dead weight guys on paper. Like it's no meaning whatsoever. So what's it a key to? What do you want to unlock? Because
Yeah.
chances are there are about, probably a dozen ways to get what you want easier than making a whole bunch of money. Right.
Yeah.
So, and to get it now instead of someday when.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's no worse feeling than reaching a goal and being like, is that it? Or, oh man, I missed out on this. It's like reaching it and be like, what is this? Some of my colleagues, myself included, it's like, what is the meaning of this? And, some of them are on their 4th, 5th marriages, mid 40s, it's just, but,
Kids who don't know them or don't want to know them, stuff like that. And it's really sad because it's that kind of thing that keeps people up at night.
yeah.
It's that kind of thing that creates regret. And
Mm,
that regret is curable. That regret is avoidable. But if it's too late, it is curable and healable, but only if people actually take the actions to stop, to pause, to say what really matters to me. What
mm,
is the difference I want to be in the world, in my family, in my community, in my practice, in my whatever? Who do I need to be to change these outcomes now?
yeah.
So a lot of the work is, I call it the inner and outer work of business. One of the biggest blocks to us, our success, is between the 4 inches between our ears. It's not the tactics or the strategies or the market or the right, investment counselor. It's the limiting beliefs that we have that get in the way of us really being clear and showing up for ourselves in a way that allows us to really make that difference. So it's getting those 4 inches working, then getting the business working.
Yeah.
I think that's what would support a lot of people in reversing okay, that goal is done. Next. How come I'm not happy? Next. Maybe the next thing will make me happy. Oh no. How about the next thing? And then we don't celebrate along the way. It's sad.
Yeah. What a fascinating discussion. All of Jannette's resources will be in the links and show notes, as well as contact and social media. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you so much, Christopher. I really appreciate you and the work that you do. And I appreciate you supporting people who make such a big difference in the world, because they often don't get enough appreciation and they often don't get enough support. So for any of you who are listening, call in more support. You deserve it.